Hi, I'm Shelley Wood and this is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. Today I'm going to show you how to sew snaps. Now in the United Kingdom they're called poppers, of course, but here in the US we call them snaps, and we're going to learn how to sew them on a doll's garment like this doll's felt coat. Sew-on snaps or poppers come in a variety of sizes. Size 4-0 snaps are ideal for 11-inch doll clothes. Size 2-0 snaps work best on 12 to 17-inch dolls, and the 1-0 snaps are great for 18-inch or larger dolls. On a package of Dritz snaps like these ones, the size is found at the bottom of the card. Snaps that you buy in bulk often don't have a hole running through the middle of the snap. Without the hole in the middle, it can be a little bit challenging to align them from the top to the bottom. Now, if your snaps do have a hole in the middle, I have a different tutorial for that kind of snap or popper. I'll post that tutorial next week. Now, if you're watching this video sometime in the future though, you should be able to find a link to the other video in the description below. So let's take a look at today's snaps. Begin by removing the snaps from their package. One piece is called the stud. It sticks out in the middle. The other piece is called a socket, and it has a depression right in the middle. I usually work with the socket first. Start at the top or bottom of your garment. You can use a pin to mark where you want to start working with your snaps. Well, first, before you start to sew your snaps, you really need to make sure that the garment does overlap a little bit so there's room for the snaps. Begin by sewing the socket piece onto the garment. Here I've sewn 2 sides surrounding the depression, and then next I sew the other 2 sides. So the depression in the socket, you don't want it to be blocked by the thread. You can use a straight pin to hold your snap in place, which is what I'm doing here as I start to sew. It can be tricky. To attach the stud, send a straight pin through the outer flap of the garment, pushing it all the way through one of the side holes in the socket piece. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I mean by this. So I've got my socket sewn on, and then I overlap that coat right there in the front, and then I'm going to stick this straight pin through one of the side holes of the sewn snap. And that lets me know approximately how to line up my next piece. Pull the straight pin out and slide the stud onto the straight pin. So you pull it out of the socket, use your thumb to position it, giving it your best guess about how it will align. Hide your knot under the stud, sewing 2 stitches, the top and the bottom, around the stud. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm hiding my knot, and then I begin my stitches. And I'm kind of checking to make sure that I've lined it up correctly, because this early stage you can redo it if it isn't quite right. And then I pulled out my straight pin. Finish attaching the stud by sewing the other 2 areas around the center. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm making sure that I go around the circle of the stud about 2 rounds. So there's plenty of thread to hold it in place. It's possible to hide a French knot under the stud like you see me doing here. Okay, so I just did a quick little French knot. You want to cut as close to the knot as you can. Now your knot won't be visible from the outside of the garment. Now, if you're careful, you can make a kind of a crisscross with your stitches along the back closure, or in this case, the front closure of your garment. Before sewing your next stud on, join the stud that you just finished to the socket that you just finished to seal the top pair of snaps shut. Then you're going to, of course, have a sewn on socket, and you use a pin to estimate where the next stud will go. Continue sewing your snaps until you feel your garment closes adequately. Then you're ready to try the garment on a doll. If you enjoy sewing dolls' clothes and you'd like to find some free PDF sewing patterns that will fit dolls of many shapes and all different sizes, please remember to visit my website, shelleywood.com.
What if there was an easy way to take a big doll pattern and resize it to fit a little doll, or vice versa? I'm Shelley Wood, the doll clothing designer, and in my pattern alteration class, I'm going to share with you my resizing formula.
But don't worry, you don't have to be really good at math to learn how to take a pattern you already own and make adjustments to that pattern so it will fit a different doll. And that's just one feature of pattern alterations. In my class, you'll also learn how to shorten and lengthen a pair of pants, and how to turn a pair of pants into shorts, or how to widen them at the waist, and even how to lengthen the inseam for taller dolls. We'll also learn how to adjust a skirt, making skirts that are more full or less full for a totally different look, and I'll show you how to create a gusset for a dress bodice, and how to design your own waistband for a skirt based on your doll's measurements. I'll walk you through the steps to several different pattern alterations, teaching you how to lengthen and shorten shirt sleeves, and how to make felt prototypes before you finalize your pattern. Regardless of the size or shape of the doll you enjoy sewing for, altering your patterns will help you turn your creative ideas for making original doll clothes into a variety of patterns for making shirts, pants, shorts, skirts, and dresses.
I invite you to join me. We are going to have so much fun.